Okay, it should be going. I think I'm gonna give it a minute to see if it catches up. In case it doesn't, oh, there it is. Hey everybody, it's me. Welcome to Sentinels of the Multiverse. This is the video that I was saying I wanted to do, regardless of whether or not people actually wanted to see gaming content on my channel. This is Sentinels of the Multiverse Digital. It's the video games created by Handelauer Games in concert with Greater Than Games. And what I'm going to do is play a couple of games and introduce you to the game and the setting and some of the hero teams. So let's see here. We're going to start with Freedom 5. You and you. So when you start a new game, you get to pick your heroes, pick your villain, pick your environment, and you can, of course, randomize. There's a randomize button down there. If you want to look and see what a hero does, you can right-click on the card. So here's Legacy. He's the leader of the Freedom 5. He's like your Superman kind of guy. But instead of flying around punching people, he likes making the team do better, so he can galvanize his teammates and make them do more damage. And I'll talk about the characters as we go here. We'll fight in Ragnar Mars base. So once you got your 3 to 5 heroes and your villain and your environment lined up, you just hit fight, and it's fight time. Now you'll see Baron Blade slide in here along with the heroes. My laptop doesn't run this too well. They get a little bit of dialogue at the start, and because Baron Blade and Legacy are nemeses, they get a little extra dialogue here. So if this were, say, if Absolute Zero were at the start of the team here, Baron Blade would just say his regular thing, Absolute Zero would say his regular thing, but they could say something different. You won't get to see that in this game. So here's the main game screen. You've got the villain on the left, you got the heroes on the right, environments up here. Everything has a little, like, clicky thing, so like I can take a look and see what cards are in Baron Blade's deck. And it's not the actual order, but if I want to know, oh, has he played Consider the Price of Victory yet, I can check and see if that's the case. We can take a look at his villain character card. It shows all the rules for setting him up. He gets to start with the Terra Lunar, with the mobile defense platform, and then at the start of the villain turn, if there are 15 or more cards in his trash, he pulls the moon into the earth, and it's game over. So we're trying to stop him before he can get 15 cards in his trash. So the way you play this game is, well, you have to beat up on the villain. Once the villain hits 0 HP, you win, although in this case, Baron Blade will actually flip when we would destroy him. But that's, we'll see what happens next. Story-wise, what's happening, you've got the Freedom 5 here, Legacy, Absolute Zero, Bunker, Wraith, and Tachyon. So, let's see, I guess I can't open them yet. We'll start the game. So all the cards come out on their own, they take and flip, which is actually a fairly recent thing. You got the mobile defense platform, which is a big, like, you know, Dr. Wily ship. It's got 10 hit points. And he starts with a Devious Disruption. So there's 3 main types of cards in this game. You got one-shots, which, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, they're instants. You play them, you do whatever they say to do, and then, you know, you put it in your trash. There's ongoings, and there's also equipment cards, and they're both basically the same thing. They play them, they stay in play. Sometimes they do something when they enter, sometimes they have an ongoing effect, sometimes they give you an extra power. So right now, Baron Blade is going to hit us all for 3 lightning damage. If we had had any equipment or ongoing cards out, we could have destroyed those to reduce the damage that he's dealing. But it's the start of the game, we don't have anything in play. So now we can actually take a look at the heroes. So Legacy we've already seen. And see, he's got the little lantern icon. And if we take a look at Baron Blade, he's also got the lantern icon. If Legacy was not in the game, you would not see that. And you can actually see on the other 4, they don't have any icons like that. But then we've got Absolute Zero. He's basically what Mr. Freeze would be if he were a hero. He's kind of, you know, rude talking, doesn't play by the rules, but he has to live inside this cryo suit, or he will burn up. And you'll notice his power is that he deals himself either cold or fire damage. There's probably a reason for that. He is, I should mention, one of my absolute favorite heroes in the game. No pun intended. Next we have Bunker. He's on loan from the military. He's a lieutenant? I can't remember what his rank is, but he's a dude in a big mech suit. He has lots of guns, but you'll notice that his power is just draw a card. That's important for him because cards will fuel a lot of the things that he can do. Next we have the Wraith, presented by Mystery Comics. She's your Batman. Just straight up, she's Batman. And she's being all stealthy. She can hide out in the shadows if she wants to not take so much damage. And last but not least, Tachyon, the quickest woman on Earth. She's your speedster. She's your Flash. And she's also got a weird power. Just reveal and replace the top card of your deck, and you can discard the top card of your deck. And you might think, well, number one, you haven't actually explained how to play this game, so I don't know what that means. But number two, that doesn't really do anything, does it? Tachyon has a very interesting mechanic. Let's take a look at their actual hands. Can we look at their actual hands, please? Thank you. There we go. So this is what hero cards look like. Danger Sense, that's an ongoing. Makes Legacy immune to damage from environment cards. He's a good tank. He's got an ongoing that will make him the only target that can be damaged. He's got a card that will let him redirect damage that would be dealt to his teammates to himself. And he's got a card that makes him immune to a certain type of damage. That next evolution, combined with Lead from the Front, can be really potent. Tachyon, oh good, here we go. She's got one-shots that also say Burst. And the more burst cards that she has in her trash, the better some of her cards are. This card in particular, Lightspeed Barrage, she deals one target melee damage equal to the number of burst cards in her trash. So at the start of the game, she's mostly just going to be doing plinky damage, like she can hit each non-hero target for one melee damage. But it's just one. If anybody's got damage reduction, she's not going to be doing much. Towards the end of the game, she can potentially do a lot. Let's get through the villain turn here. So the villain always goes first because, you know, it's the villain. Heroes are going to react to whatever he does. And I'll just go ahead and hit choose for me because it doesn't matter what order this damage is dealt in, although it's worth noting that because Legacy is Baron Blade's nemesis, he takes one extra damage. This also means that he'll deal one extra damage to Baron Blade. And now Baron Blade has one card in his trash. I'm going to start off with that Danger Sense because this environment, oh I should talk about the environment too, Wagner Mars Base. It's a base on Mars. It has the ability to do some damage to us, it can destroy some of our stuff, and it can make the villain a little more powerful. It can also end the game with this card here. It gets a countdown pile, and if there's ever no cards in the countdown pile, the base explodes and we all die. The reason I picked Wagner Mars Base is thematic because this is, you know, the big fight where Baron Blade is sick of Legacy shit. Legacy has been stopping him at every turn for years now, and he's just like, okay, you know what? Screw it. I've invented this beam cannon thing that will pull the moon into the Earth, destroying the world. And he's, you know, up here on Mars, so he's safe from the fallout of that. So, you know, we're trying to stop him. So, okay, the hero turn, you play a card, you use a power, you draw a card. Some heroes can get cards, Tachyon especially, that will let them do more than one at a time. But for Legacy, he's just play, power, draw for the most part. So I'm going to use his power, Galvanize. We will increase damage dealt by hero targets by 1 until the start of his turn, and then he draws a Bolster Allies. That's a very useful card because it can get everybody more cards. Absolute Zero. Oh, starts with a handful of absolute crap. Now, at this point, I forgot to mention, the mobile defense platform makes Baron Blade immune to damage. So he's up here on Mars in his big ship. We have to punch our way through the ship before we can get to him and punch him down. Despite the fact that dealing some damage would be useful, I can't actually do that, so I'm going to play a Glacial Structure. This is an ongoing card. I'm going to use its power. Draw 3 cards, then destroy this card. Absolute Zero is very much reliant on the cards that he draws, and he didn't draw anything useful. That's kind of amazing. And yet, completely expected for him. Eventually, if I can get the correct cards out for him, he'll be doing some cool stuff. Bunker, meanwhile, has a grenade launcher. We're going to go ahead and use that power. He deals 1 target projectile, 2 projectile damage, and then he can deal a second target 2 projectile damage and a third target 1 projectile damage. So we're going to go ahead and hit that mobile defense platform for 3 because of the galvanize. Unfortunately, we can't hit Baron Blade because he's immune to damage, so I'm just going to stop dealing damage. Oh yeah, and that one's weird because it's 3 separate attacks, so you can skip the second one and do the third one if you want. Wraith, excuse me, has a good starting hand. We're going to Impromptu Invention. She draws a card, and then I get to search my deck for an equipment card, and I can put it into play or in my hand. There's pretty much no reason to put it in your hand. It always goes into place. So I'm going to start with a micro-targeting computer, which will increase the projectile damage she does by 2. This is an amazing card. It's going into play. This is also when it's worth noting that there are 11 damage types in the game, and for the most part they don't matter. Absolute Zero cares about damage type. So does the Wraith. So I'm going to play the Razor Ordnance. This is your equipment. It's your Batarang. She deal 1 target 3 projectile damage. Because of the micro-targeting computer, that's increased by 2, and 1 more from the galvanize, so that is going to be 6 damage to the mobile defense platform. She hit a really critical system, and she draws a grappling hook. That'll be very useful later. Tachyon is going to start off with Fleet of Foot because it's an awesome, awesome card. Everybody gets to draw a card, and then she can play another card. Tachyon was the first hero I ever played, and her play style supports very fast play. She will burn through a hand, she will burn through her deck at lightning speed, and it makes sense because she's your speedster. So off of that Fleet of Foot, I'm going to play Accelerated Assault. She can deal each non-hero target 1 melee damage. It's going to be 2, and it's worth noting at the start of the game, when Baron Blade hit everybody for 3 damage, I said choose for me because it didn't matter what the order is. This time the order is going to matter, so I'm going to hit the mobile defense platform first. Taking it out, bam, there it goes. That's another card in his trash, but then I get to hit Baron Blade. First blood goes to Tachyon. So now we're going to take and use her Rapid Recon. So we revealed a Synaptic Interruption, and I can discard it or leave it on top of my deck. If I leave it on top of my deck, I will draw it. Usually with burst cards you want to dump them in your trash, however this one is her 1 burst card that is not a one-shot, it's ongoing, and it has a very cool effect. If I have this in play, and I get hit for 3 or more damage at one time, like that Devious Disruption from Baron Blade, I can redirect that damage to another target, and then this card is destroyed. So I get to not take damage, number 1, deal damage to something else, number 2, and get a burst card. So I'm going to keep that. I'll say we won't discard it, and then I get to draw it. Now it's the environment's turn. And the environment plays a lot like the villain, it just plays a card, and then if there's any extra effects at the end of its turn, those go off. The villainous weaponry will increase damage dealt by Baron Blade by 1. So he gets his own kind of galvanize. And it's time for Consider the Price of Victory. He's only got one of these. This is a really nasty card. So everybody's going to discard a card, and then he's going to hit everybody, and then he's going to discard a number of cards from the top of his deck equal to the number of cards that we discarded. So he's going to get 5 cards in his trash. He'll be a third of the way there. So now we have to make a decision. What can I lose? Legacy is going to drop lead from the front because I don't have any way to use Next Evolution along with Galvanize. I'd rather have the Galvanize. If I could use Next Evolution and Galvanize, then lead from the front would be very nice. So I'll get rid of that. Absolute Zero. Does not need 2 thermal shockwaves. That's a limited card. That's your third card type. I can only have 1 thermal shockwave in play at a time. So if I play one and it gets destroyed, like by a devious disruption or something, I can play another one. But I don't have any in play right now. I don't need to. Bunker. I'll discard his maintenance unit. Even though the ammo drop is limited, it's very useful, and I would want to replace that if I lost it, if I played it and lost it. But the maintenance unit, just healing, not that useful right now. Wraith. Okay, there's 3 cards here that I usually would discard. We've got the infrared eyepiece. This is actually a very good card. It lets her look at Baron Blade's deck and determine what his next play is going to be. You can put the game entirely in your favor by using this card. In fact, I probably will go ahead and discard that just because it's so powerful. Smoke Bombs helps keep the lowest HP hero target alive longer, and the Stun Bolt deals 1 projectile damage, but it also reduces damage dealt to the target that is dealt damage. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the infrared eyepiece. And then Tachyon wants to discard a burst card. I'm going to get rid of the Sucker Punch, because it will destroy a target with 2 or fewer HP. Ain't nobody got that right now. So, now he hits us all for 3 damage. Cheapers. And then he dumps actually 6 cards into his trash, because the 1-shot counts as well. So I'm going to go ahead and Back Fist Strike him. I will deal a total of 5 damage, because it's 4 off the 1-shot, plus the Nemesis bonus. Bam! I said Legacy wasn't flying around and punching things, but he can hit hard when he wants to. We'll Galvanize again, and I should mention I'm holding down Tab to make the game go a little faster. I think, I don't know if anyone's actually watching. No, no one's actually watching, but that's okay. Jeez. Alright, so, Absolute Zero has nothing to do at the moment without hurting himself. Since I don't want to do that, I have 2 choices. I can play a card and skip his power, or I can skip his play phase, skip his power phase, and I'll get to draw an extra card. I think I'm going to play this Impale, though, so this is an ongoing. I play it next to a non-hero target, and at the start of his turn, Absolute Zero will hit that target for 2 cold damage. That's a very useful card to play on the villain. We'll skip his power, and there we go. Null Point Calibration Unit will allow him to use his power from now on. Bunker. We could stand to get rid of that villainous rapidly. Let's go ahead and use External Combustion. Bunker deals himself 2, increased to 3 fire damage, unfortunately, but then he hits everything else for 4 damage. So it's a good trade-off. And he hit the villainous weaponry because, because it is also a non-hero target. And then we'll go ahead and use his grenade launcher, hit Baron Blade for 3, hit the villainous weaponry for 3 to destroy it, and not deal the last damage. Wraith has nothing in particular that needs to get out. I'll go ahead and play that Stun Bolt. But then I'm going to use the Razor Ordnance, because that's going to be 6 more damage on Baron Blade. Look at that. Inventory Barrage. Wraith's big thing is lots of equipment. She can have something like 12 equipment in play at once. And she's got some that are limited like the Razor Ordnance and some that aren't, like the Stun Bolts. Inventory Barrage allows you to blow up all of your equipment cards and do a big pile of damage. But you have to destroy all of them, so if you use this in the middle of the game, you're going back to square one. So you have to think about whether or not you want to use that. I usually don't. I usually will discard it pretty quickly. Tachyon's doing alright. I'm going to go ahead and play that Synaptic Interruption, because that's a very, very nice card. And we will Rapid Recon. Nipple Strike. Okay, this is a very good burst card to discard, because it just deals one melee damage and draws a card. So basically it replaces itself. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that. That's 1 more burst in my trash, and I get another Synaptic Interruption. So if I end up using that one, I can replace it next turn. I should mention that when you're playing this game, you can hit the F3 button, or go up to the Lightning Bolt, and it will show you all ongoing effects. So you've got increased damage dealt by hero targets by 1. That's Legacy's Galvanize. There's 8 cards in the villain trash. That's important to keep track of. Absolute Zero has dealt no cold damage this turn. That card, Thermal Shockwave, keeps track of how much damage he deals and does something special, and Tachyon's Trash has 4 burst cards. That's the really important thing that I want this screen for. Other useful things, if I hit F2, nothing happens. If I hit F2, I can rewind, and it'll take me to the start of the last hero turn, I think. So I can go back to Tachyon's start of turn and go, oh, I didn't want to play that Synaptic Interruption, that was stupid. Play a different card. This is only really suggested if you screw up. You're like, oh, I clicked the wrong thing, I pushed the wrong button, I need to go back a step and fix that. This game has something called the weekly one-shot, which is a pre-generated scenario, and everyone has a week to beat it, and if you beat it on the first try, you get a quote-unquote mint cover, and the more tries it takes, the worse the cover looks. But if you rewind while doing your mint run on a weekly one-shot, you will lose your mint. So, Wagner Mars Base is playing an Oxygen League. It says reduce all fire damage by 3, so that external combustion I played would have done 1 to everything. Jeez. At the end of the environment turn, one player may discard a card to destroy this card. At the start of the environment turn, it will deal each target X toxic damage, where X is the number of cards in the environment trash. Right now, that's only 1. However, we can get rid of it real easily. So I'm going to have Tachyon discard a card, because she's got burst that she can lose. And that's 5 cards in her trash. Baron Blade's down to half, but he's also halfway to victory, and we get another mobile defense platform. The downside is we have to beat our way through that, but the upside is that was his entire turn. He's not going to be dealing any damage or anything this round. So I'm going to go ahead and bolster my allies. Draw Superhuman Durability, Onboard Module Installation, that's great. Ooh, the Omni Cannon. Combat Stance is nice, and a Sonic Vortex. And then Galvanize. And draw, Fortitude. That will give Legacy some damage reduction. So you notice Legacy's, there goes that Impale, and it was blocked by the mobile defense platform. Legacy's turns are not very flashy for the most part. Absolute Zero is going to play his onboard module installation. So he draws a card, he gets to search for a module card and put it into his hand, and then he gets to play a card. So we're going to play that module card. The modules are specialized equipment. Whenever Absolute Zero is dealt fire damage, he deals 1 target that much cold damage. So now we get into why the heck would you deal yourself damage, you dummy? His other module is when he would take cold damage, he instead regains that many HP. So now perhaps you start to see the point of his power. He can hit himself for 1 fire damage and deal something else 1 cold damage, or he can hit himself for 1 cold damage and heal. We're going to go ahead and use Thermodynamics. I will pick Fire. He deals himself 2 fire damage, and now he's dealing 2 cold damage, because that's the amount of fire damage he took, which is then increased by 1 because of the Galvanize. This is the real awesome thing about damage increases, especially for someone like Absolute Zero who does lots and lots and lots of instances of damage. So we're going to go ahead and hit that mobile defense platform because it is a pain in my butt. Okay. I'm going to play that ammo drop. Whenever a villain card is destroyed, Bunker can draw a card, even if a mode card says he could not. We haven't seen any of the mode cards yet, but what they do is basically there's one that lets you play extra cards, one that lets you draw extra cards, and one that lets you use extra powers. But the power and draw ones keep you from playing cards. Or wait, the power one keeps you from drawing cards. The draw one keeps you from playing cards and using powers. The play one keeps you from using powers. We will go ahead and use the grenade launcher, hit that for 3 damage, and then now I'm going to go down here and hit show all targets, because I know Tachyon has one of those synaptic interruptions, and I'm dealing 3 damage, so I'm going to hit her, and she can redirect my second hit back to the mobile defense platform, so I'm hitting it twice. And then I can't hit Baron Blade. But this is when you start thinking about strategies like, can I hit my teammate and benefit from it? Wraith will play throwing knives. The throwing knives are like the stun bolt, they just deal 1 projectile damage, but she can hit up 3 targets. So we'll use that power. I can hit the mobile defense platform and kill it. Boom. Ammo drop allows Bunker to draw a card. There's turret mode. That's the mode that lets him play or use extra powers, which is great if you have both of his damage dealing powers out. And then I can hit Baron Blade for 4 damage. And we're back to beating on Baron Blade. Ooh, and she got a utility belt. That would be very useful. The other reason I hit Tachyon is because I knew she had another Synaptic Interruption. Rapid Recon reveals another Synaptic Interruption. I'm going to keep that. Fire in the Biosphere. So at the end of the environment turn, this card's going to hit everybody for 2 fire damage. The cool thing is, Absolute Zero will be able to turn that into cold damage and deal extra damage to Baron Blade. And then after everybody takes damage, each of the heroes has to either destroy an ongoing card or take 2 more fire damage. So if they don't have any ongoing cards, they're out of luck. Like, well, Absolute Zero does have an ongoing card. Legacy, on the other hand, will take no damage. He doesn't care. So we'll just go ahead and hit choose for me. It's Baron Blade. Legacy takes nothing. It's Absolute Zero. And his Isothermic Transducer goes off so he can hit Baron Blade for 3 damage. The others get hit. Usually I would skip this. Let's see. Legacy doesn't care. Absolute Zero doesn't care. Bunker would rather keep that ammo drop. She doesn't have any ongoings. She could destroy her Synaptic Interruption and avoid the damage and get the burst card in her trash. But I think we're doing pretty good for hit points right now. Everybody's above 10. I think we can take this. So we'll just go ahead and skip and hit choose for me once again. So we've dealt Baron Blade 3, 6, 8 damage in one go. Now there's a problem. The Elemental Redistributor, it's a device that's got 10 hit points, and whenever he would be dealt fire, cold, or lightning damage, that gets redirected to the hero target with the lowest HP. So Absolute Zero has to watch out for that. All of his damage output is going to be going towards taking that out. In the meantime, Legacy will go ahead and Fortitude up, because he wants to take less damage. That means he can be around longer to help out his team. Ooh, and see, what happened there was that Impale, which automatically deals damage to Baron Blade, that's cold damage, so it got redirected to poor Bunker. Well, that's not very good. So now I have to make a decision. Do I want to attack the Elemental Redistributor, or do I want to heal myself? Because I could play that null point calibration unit, do some healing, that would be nice. I think I'm going to attack the Elemental Redistributor because there's every chance that Absolute Zero could become the lowest hit point hero target, and then he would take all the damage, and he can heal eventually, so he doesn't mind it so much. So I'll play Focused Apertures, which increases the cold damage he deals. Just the cold damage, because he has the ability to deal fire damage as well. So that gets increased by Galvanize. And so if he aimed this at Blade, it would hit Bunker. That's bad. So he's going to aim at the Elemental Redistributor, and it's going to take 4 because of the Focused Apertures. Boosh. Alright, we got that turret mode, so I think we're going to start setting up. So we get a flat cannon. This gives him the power to deal a target 3 projectile damage. A little bit more damage than this, but also hits fewer targets. I'm going to go ahead and use the grenade launcher, despite the fact that Absolute Zero smacked Bunker in the face with his big ice spike. Bunker's going to help him out and hit that Elemental Redistributor. Won't deal the last damage. Baron Blade is almost done. So, Utility Belt. This lets Wraith use an additional power during her power phase, and she's going to do some disgusting things, like dealing 6 damage to Baron Blade. Now you might think, alright, he's finished, but no. We've destroyed the Terralunar Impulsion Beam, but he's taking the fight to us. So when flipped to the side, he gets back to 30 hit points, and all of his mobile defense platforms go in the trash. All the other cards get shuffled into his deck. So, yeah, consider the Price of Victory, the Devious Disruption. Those are back in his deck, and he can play them again. At the end of the villain turn, he's going to be dealing us some damage. But we don't have to worry about the Terralunar Impulsion Beam anymore, which is great. Now, I was thinking of using the Throwing Knives and taking out the Elemental Redistributor, but I think instead that I'm going to use Stun Bolt, hit Baron Blade for 4, and then we'll reduce the damage that he deals by 1 until the start of Wraith's turn. And that'll help with that big hit that he's going to be doing. I'm going to go ahead and play Sonic Vortex. Tankian deals up to X targets 3 sonic damage, where X is the number of burst cards in her trash, and she has 6 burst cards, so she can hit 6 targets. Now that being said, there are really only 2 targets that she wants to hit. Hit that, destroy it, Bunker draws a card, hit Baron Blade, and see, she can keep going on and on and on here. She could theoretically hit herself and drop that Synaptic Interruption, but I think I'd rather leave it in place just in case Blade does a little more damage. So Rapid Recon, she gets a Hypersonic Assault. This is not a burst card. It's one of her few one-shots that isn't. She'll deal each non-hero target 1 sonic damage, and then targets that she deals damage this way can't deal damage until the start of her turn. This is a fantastic card, so we're not going to discard that. I'm going to draw that, probably play it next round. The environment. So, okay, so at the start of the environment turn, one player can discard 2 cards to destroy this card. So the question now is, who's got cards they can discard? Legacy certainly does. Absolute Zero probably does. Actually, yeah, I might have him do it. Yes, okay. So I'm setting up for my next turn. So there's this null point calibration unit that I want to play, right? I'm going to discard it. Why, you might ask? Because of this card. It lets me pull an equipment card from my trash and put it either into play or in my hand. And then Absolute Zero deals himself 1 fire and 1 cold damage. So I could have left that card in my hand and played it next round. Instead, I'm going to put it in my trash and play this card, which lets me pull it out, put it into play, and then deal some fire damage to myself, which means I can deal some cold damage, and deal some cold damage to myself, which means I can heal off that fire damage. Much better idea than just playing it straight out. And then for my second card, I'll discard Sub-Zero Atmosphere. That makes villain cards that would act at the end of the turn instead act at the start of the turn. It's very, very hard to use effectively. And we get, a maintenance level. At the end of the environment turn, we're going to play the top card of the environment deck. So we get, the self-destruct sequence. So to prevent the self-destruct sequence from counting down, we have to skip turns. But I say nuts to that. The Wraith has a grappling hook. Powered Remote Turret comes out. It's going to deal us some projectile damage. Interestingly, if he had a mobile defense platform in play, there's that Stun Bolt and the Fortitude reducing damage. If Baron Blade had a mobile defense platform in play, the Powered Remote Turret would deal extra damage, but it's just going to hit everybody to do. And once again, Legacy took less damage, so we're not going to skip his turn. I'm going to play Superhuman Durability, because he's still the highest, so he's taking the big hits from Baron Blade. Superhuman Durability will reduce a hit of 5 or more damage by 3. It's a crazy card. And the nice thing about Fortitude is you can pick which order that goes in. Because, like, if Baron Blade hit him for 5, Fortitude reduces it by 1 to 4, well, then Superhuman Durability won't go off. But if Superhuman Durability goes off first, we say, we'll reduce it by 3, so now it's 2, reduced by 1, to 1. And that's how Legacy survives things. And he draws the Legacy Ring. Excellent. That Impale finally went off and hit Baron Blade where it counts. So, Modular Realignment, we'll put that in play. 2 damage to him, becomes 4 damage to Baron Blade. And then he deals himself 3 cold damage, and heals 3. Now, I could heal some more, but I just hit Baron Blade for a whole mess of damage, and I want to do that again. So we'll have him deal himself some fire damage. and throw out 4 more. So that's a total of, I think that's a total of 12 damage I just did to him. And this is why I like Absolute Zero a lot. Bunker will not skip his turn. I could go into turret mode right now. I think, however, I'm going to play the Omni Cannon. This is his big attack. At the start of his turn, he can put up to 3 cards under the card, and then this gives him a power to destroy all those cards and deal damage equal to twice the number of cards destroyed. So this is a little bit better than Inventory Barrage, but it builds up very slowly. You have to charge it. I keep using that grenade launcher. Blade's almost dead, but I can hit the powered remote turret, which, if nothing else, just makes me feel good. So, I said I was going to use a grappling hook. Destroy an ongoing environment card. Sounds good to me. So, and these are the 2 cards that are under the self-destruct sequence. They're not considered, they don't have any card text. So we'll destroy the self-destruct sequence, and it puts all the cards under it into the trash, destroys itself, and she draws a card. And then, let's see, Razor Ordnance, 6 damage to Baron Blade, and I might as well just go ahead and stun Bolt because I'm going to kill him. Boom. And yeah, the effect goes off for some reason. And you get to hear the cool victory theme. So that's Sentinels in the Multiverse. Nobody's watching, but that's okay, because this is going to be a video on my channel. Let's see. I don't remember how long I have until my thing is ready. But I'm going to play at least one more game. We're going to go with the team known as Dark Watch. So the Freedom 5 is very, Legacy's like your all-American guy, and you got, Tachyon, she's the quickest woman on Earth, and Bunker's from the military, and it's kind of like, your Justice League and your Avengers. Dark Watch are a little more grim and gritty. You've got Expatriate. She's the Punisher. She has lots of guns. She puts ammo in the guns. She shoots lots of people. Mr. Fixer, he's Daredevil. He is like 85 years old. He is blind. He kicks a lot of ass. Night Mist is a sorceress. She's got ties to like eldritch demons and so forth. Her nemesis is actually a big god of despair. She does a lot of damage to herself. She kind of plays like Absolute Zero. She's actually not one of my favorite heroes, but that's just me. And then you have Setback. Setback is Expatriate's boyfriend. He's a regular guy, kind of. Very optimistic. He was cursed with bad luck, but he naturally had really good luck. So those kind of, are loggerheads with each other. And then he lucked himself into an experimental procedure that also gave him super strength. So now you've got a guy whose luck vacillates between really good and really bad, and he's really strong. It's going to be a bad time for everyone. A change from better to worse. They come from a place called Rook City. Let me find that. Here's Rook City. It's not a nice place. We're not going to play there. Rook City is the hardest environment in the game. Instead, let's see, we're going to fight Plague Rat. Plague Rat is a big, monstrous rat. Let me do that. You can actually see him there. He's a big, monstrous rat man. He infects people, and then they hurt themselves. That's his big thing. We're not going to be fighting with his nemesis, just the Dark Watch team. And, where should we fight him? Should I go thematic? Yeah, let's go thematic. We'll fight in the Pike Industrial Plant. This is a place that's in Rook City. It's, your big Axis chemicals, lots of pollution, dumping chemicals in the water. It's a very nasty place. It's also full of rats. Hello? Thank you. It wasn't working for some reason. So, Plague Rat comes out. Expatriate's leading the Dark Watch. He's like, rah, 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 and she's like, I'm gonna shoot you. So Plague Rat begins the game with the Plague Locust and increases his damage and the damage dealt by all infected heroes by 1. Also heals him a little bit. Noxious Bite, so he's going to hit the hero target with the lowest HP for 4 toxic damage. You see how that's in stars there? And that's based on a variable called H. He's going after Night Mist. That plays infected from the villain deck. We'll talk about that in a minute. H is the number of heroes, so it goes from 3 to 5. And it's the way that this game balances itself. So if this were a 3-hero game, he would have only done 3 damage with that card. Alright, so we've got Infection. And it's worth noting that on his villain character card it says that if a card named Infection is destroyed, he deals each hero target 4 toxic damage. So we don't want to destroy this card just yet. It's going to go next to one of my heroes, and they'll be infected, and at the start of their turn they will deal themselves 1 irreducible toxic damage. I'm going to put this next to Mr. Fixer for 2 reasons. The first reason is that he likes having a damage boost, because his main power only deals 1 damage. He's going to get a damage boost from the Plague Locust. So now he's infected. And Plague Rat hits everybody for 1. And I should note, this purple outline means the damage is irreducible. If anybody here had damage reduction, which they don't yet, it would go right through that damage reduction. Alright. Expatriate shares a problem with Absolute Zero, which is that if you get a starting hand that's really bad, you're going to be drawing cards for a while. This hand could be worse. So we're going to quick draw one of her signature weapons. That's Prejudice. It's a revolver that will let her deal 2 projectile damage. And she's going to hit Plague Rat. Just hit him right in the face. Mr. Fixer deals himself damage. However, that won't be a problem. So Mr. Fixer has 2 kinds of special cards, Tools and Styles. Both affect how he deals damage. The Jack handle says whenever Mr. Fixer would deal damage to a target, he deals that much damage to all non-hero targets. The word that is missing in that description is instead. So like, he just deals himself 2 irreducible toxic damage. With the Jack handle out, he'll go, I'm going to deal myself 2 irreducible toxic damage. Oh wait, no I'm not. I'm going to hit all non-hero targets for 2 irreducible toxic damage instead. This is why playing Mr. Fixer against Plague Rat is really great. So we're going to strike. He deals damage to all non-hero targets. That damage is 2 melee because of the Plague Locust. And he smacks the Plague Locust around. I usually avoid destroying the Plague Locust unless I'm doing really poorly, because I like having that damage bonus. So now Night Mist has a special mechanic where she's got these little sparkle numbers. And let's see here. This one, so she reveals the top card of her deck. She deals herself the amount of damage on the revealed card's sparkle number, and then she deals up to that number of targets 2 infernal damage each. Her damage is all infernal, by the way. We're not going to do that right now, however. We're going to play the Amulet of the Elder Gods. The first time she would be dealt damage each turn, she can discard 2 cards, to redirect the damage to something else. This is her big protection card, and it fuels a lot of what she does. Like her power, which is deal yourself 2 infernal damage, draw 2 cards. So I could discard 2 cards and deal that infernal damage to Plague Rat instead. I'm not, however, just because I want to start building up my hand. She needs lots of cards to be really effective. So she draws a whole bunch of stuff. Setback has a special mechanic as well. Like this card shows him fighting Plague Rat, of all things. So he'll deal a target 2 melee damage, deal himself 2 melee damage, and get 2 tokens in his unlucky pool. He gets tokens by doing things that are generally not helpful, like dealing himself damage or destroying somebody else's card. You can then turn those cards or those tokens into big hits to other targets, or destroying the villain's cards, or healing the team. That's one of the best things he can do. One moment. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. So we're going to go ahead and play this Reckless Rush so we can get some tokens in our unlucky pool. Smack Plague Rat, smack himself, and 2 tokens right there. His main power is Risk. He adds a token to his Unlucky pool and plays the top card of his deck. It could be good, it could be bad. Let's see what happens. Whoops, sorry, that's bad. So he has to destroy a card belonging to another hero. He can't destroy his own cards with this. He literally has to destroy somebody else's card. And then he gets a bunch of tokens for that. He can also destroy an ongoing or environment card, but there are no ongoings or environment cards that we want to destroy. This might have been useful after the environment got a turn, but that's the risk you take. So we're going to go ahead and destroy Prejudice, because Expatriate has at least one more gun, and she can always quick draw that out of her trash. We're not going to destroy Infection, or else we're going to take lots of damage. We're going to add 3 tokens to Setbacks and Lucky Pool. Having lots of tokens is usually a really good thing, especially with Wrong Time and Place. Not that I'm probably going to play that card. So we get a Biomimetic Plasma Vat. At the end of the environment turn, each target regains 1 hit point. Reduce all damage by 1. So Plague Rat deals a lot of irreducible damage. That's not going to help us at all. If I can find a way to get rid of that, I will. Everybody heals up a little bit. That's nice. Noxious Bite again. So yeah, 4 damage. I'm going to discard 2 cards. I'll drop that, and I'll drop that. Redirect that to Plague Rat. Now see, it's 4 plus 1 from the Plague Locust minus 1 from the Biomimetic Plasma Vat. Still, 4 damage is nothing to sneeze at. Somebody else gets infected. We'll make that Expatriate. She likes dealing with damage. And then everybody takes a damage. Which, I mean, 2 damage, of course. Okay, now what I'm going to do. I'll play the submachine gun. That will deal 1 projectile damage to everything, which will be increased by 1 because of the Plague Locust. But I'm going to use her base power, which is play a card. She'll use her RPG launcher. She can destroy an ongoing or environment card. And then she can deal to 2 targets 2 increased to 3 fire damage each. So we'll hit him, and we won't hit that because I like the +1. And she draws another submachine gun. See? Now he was going to deal himself damage. Instead, he gets everything else. So he's going to be slowly wearing down the Plague Locust, which is why I don't really feel the need to focus on it at all. So I'm going to go ahead and play Harmony. It says when both a tool and a style card are in play, he deals 1 more damage. That'll be 1 more damage to himself, which means extra damage at the start of his turn. I don't have any style cards in play, but that'll be useful eventually. And we'll go ahead and strike. Whack, whack. Ooh, that's good. I wish she had something that would get her more cards. Well, you know what? She does. Mist form. I missed his immune damage. You cannot play cards or use powers. So she turns into Mist. She can't really affect the physical world. But she can draw an additional card during her draw phase. At the start of her turn, she can destroy this card. I'm going to go ahead and play that. And draw her some extra cards, since she's been taking a lot of damage. Setback, setback, setback. Yeah, we'll play Exceeded Expectations. I'm going to take 1 token out of my Unlucky pool, so I can deal 1 target 3 melee damage. Boop! Right in his nose. And then we'll risk, because that's what you do when you're setback. Oh. Oh, I should have... Oh, man. I knew he was going to do that. I should have played like he was going to do that, because I knew he was going to do that. We're going to go ahead and destroy the submachine gun, because Expatriate has another one. We're not going to destroy a card named Infection and take 4 damage, but he will get 3 unlucky tokens. Now he's got tokens out the wazoo. Which will be good for turn of events. Escaped Lab Rat. That's going to hit the 2 non-environment targets with the lowest HP for 1 damage each, which is going to be, yeah, Night Mist and the Plague Locust. So, ooh. Yeah, she doesn't take no damage. Sewer Fiend. Okay, that's a problem. Makes him immune to toxic damage, number 1. because there's a card in this environment that converts all damage to toxic, that's bad. We need to get rid of this. Whenever he would be dealt damage by an environment card, it gets redirected to an infected hero. Also bad. So now I'm going to try and get my ongoing destruction going, and I'm sure setback isn't going to help me with this at all. Boop, and she doesn't take any damage. Submachine gun time. Just going to go ahead and hit everything for 2 projectile damage. That includes the lab rat. Mr. Fixer tries to hit himself, hits everything else instead. He just can't help it. I'll play Charge, which will let him deal 2 damage to all targets. That's going to destroy the Plague Locust, so I'm going to make sure I hit Plague Rat first. Boom, Plague Locust is gone. So now he's down to dealing just 1 damage for his power. And he got another jackhandle, that's good. Okay, I'm not going to destroy Mist Form, so she can draw 3 cards. Those were some good cards. Okay. I'm also not going to play Turn of Events just yet, because that will let my teammates use powers, which Night Mist can't do. Yeah, I feel like drawing cards and dealing some damage is a good idea. So take 2 cards out. Exceeded expectations. Kinda wish I hadn't drawn that. Smack Plague Rat for 2. If he had no tokens left, he would heal 3, but that's okay. He's got a lot of hit points. We'll risk a Turn of Events. Alright, so he removes 4 tokens from his unlucky pool, and each other player gets to use a power. She... Nah. Just do it. Hit him for 1. Mr. Fix uses Strike, hits him for 1. And Night Mist cannot currently use powers. And then he deals himself 2 psychic damage, because that was kind of a strain. And he gets an Armed Charmed Life, which is a terrible card. Escaped Lab Rat. See now, the Plague Locust is gone, so we're going to hit Night Mist and Expatriate. Night Mist is probably going to come out of Mist Form this round. Ooh! Ravage! He deals each hero target other than the hero target with the highest HP 2 toxic damage, so he's hitting the 3 lowest. And then he's going to play that many copies of Infection, so we're all going to be infected by the end of this. There's one for Night Mist, and there's one for Setback. And now that we're all infected, he will flip next round. Excuse me. Playing Assault Rifle. This is one of her better weapons, because it only hits up to 3 targets, so there's lots of targets out. The submachine gun is better, but it does more damage, and there's only 2 targets, so I'd rather do that. Hit both of them for 2, all set. Ooh, tactical shotgun. It does damage. And that was toxic damage, so Sewer Fiend prevented it. Alright. Night Mist has her ongoing destruction, so we're going to play Bloody Knuckles. This increases damage dealt to and by Mr. Fixer by 2. So he takes more damage, he deals more damage. Hopefully. Boom, so he did 3 instead of 1. And there's a style, so I can get my damage increase from Harmony. So I'm going to go ahead and destroy Night Mist Form, sorry. Now I have a choice to make here. I can discard 2 cards. If I do, I'm not going to be able to redirect any more damage this turn. It's only the first time per turn. Unfortunately, dealing 1 damage with 2 cards is not worth it, so I'm going to take it. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Planar Banishment. So she reveals, perfect, a Heedless Lash. 2 damage to herself, and then she can destroy up to 2 environment or ongoing cards. So we'll take out Sewer Fiend, and then I'll hit Show All Cards, and destroy Bloody Knuckles. And that's why I played that, because I was hoping she would get at least a 2. All of her cards, it's worth mentioning, go from 1 to 4. And then I'll take the damage and draw the cards. That's fine. You know, I can do turn of events again. I'm going to do that. So take out all of his tokens, and we play some powers. 2 damage from Expatriate. Only 1 damage from Mr. Fixer, but that's okay. And Night Mist. Deal herself 2 damage. Discard 2 cards. Redirect it to him, and draw 2 cards. So she replaces the cards that she drew, she replaced them with better cards. And we're down to nothing in the unlucky pool, so it's time to risk some more unlucky tokens. Surprising fortune. And he draws another one. That lets him remove 2 tokens, and if he does, he heals and somebody else can draw 2 cards. Useful if you have lots of tokens. Experimental Mutagen. This will pull all of the rat cards from the environment trash into play, and increases the damage they do and reduces the damage they take. So we get 2 rats. Let me see here, how do we get rid of that? Start the environment turn, throw 2 or more rats in the environment trash, destroy this card. Yeah, I think we can do that. So they're going to smack her, and does she have the cards to discard right now? This is not a big hit. No, she'll take it. Of course she's going to get hit again. So it's worth noting, I don't know if you noticed this, but Night Mist has like a little rip in her coat. Her hair's turned kind of a reddish color. When you get below 10 HP in the digital game, your character portrait changes. So now Plague Rat has flipped. At the start of the villain turn, he's going to deal each infected hero 2 toxic damage. And then if there's any non-infected heroes, he'll flip back. But we get extra powers. The first one, you deal another hero 3 toxic damage and then regain 3 hit points. The second one, you deal yourself 4 toxic damage and destroy a card in an infection. If the infections are starting to overwhelm us, it's a good idea to get rid of them that way. What's even better is that Mr. Fixer can use those and deal Plague Rat the damage. I'm not sure which one I want to do. I can also do things like have have the heroes deal Night Mist the damage and then heal, because she can redirect it. We'll just go ahead and... Yeah, she's low on hit points. Get rid of that. That. Hit him for 2. Uh-oh. Afflicted Frenzy. That's a really bad card. The start of each hero turn, if that hero is infected, they deal X melee damage to the hero target with the highest HP, where X is the number of infected heroes. So right now that's 4. That's a lot of damage. So Expatriate hits herself, and she's going to hit one of these guys where he can set back because he can take it. Mr. Fixer, on the other hand, is going to do funny things. I'm going to play these incendiary rounds. This is ammo. It goes next to a gun. I'm going to put it on the assault rifle. It changes the damage type of the assault rifle from projectile to fire, and increases it by 1. So she's going to take out, well, okay, not quite. But she's going to hit everything for a bunch of damage. So, Mr. Fixer tries to hit himself, instead he hits everybody else. It's irreducible, so he goes through the escaped lab rat's mutagen. And then he tries to hit himself, and hits everybody else because of the Afflicted Frenzy. So I'm going to play Riveting Crane, and this is not a great style, but after he deals a target damage, damage dealt to that target becomes irreducible until the start of his turn. Useful when he's dealing irreducible damage, but mostly I played it for the damage increase. So I'm going to go ahead and play this power, so he will deal himself 4 toxic damage, except, oh wait, he's going to hit everything else. There's that +1 from Harmony. And we will destroy the infection on Night Mist, because she has the lowest HP, and we don't want her hitting herself at the start of her turn. Driving Mantis, that's a great card. it's time to play the Star Shield necklace, so she can start healing. And for her power, well, that's right, she's not infected, so she doesn't get the extra powers. Go ahead and investigate. Discard 2 cards. I'll drop that. Is that useful? I'll drop that too. Smack him for 2. Draw 2 cards. Almost the same cards I discarded. And there's an Elder Ring. So the Star Shield necklace, at the end of my turn, I can discard a card and heal HP equal to the number of sparkles it has. So I'm going to drop this 4 Sparkle Oblivion, heal 4 hit points. Now I'm not in the red anymore. Ouch. Play Exceed Expectations again. With that token, hit a target for 3. I kind of feel like using this one because I get hit and I missed. Do some damage and heal. As the damage doesn't have to be dealt for the healing to happen. Shoot. I should use that planar banishment. So Setback tries to punch Night Mist, punches Plague Rat instead, and drinks his delicious blood. And that went away because we put some rats in the thing. Oh, and the Plasma Vat comes out, our old friend. Everybody heals. So now the problem is Expatriate is kind of hurting. Plague Rat flips back. Uh-oh, there's the Reflected Frenzy, that's bad. No. Yeah, go ahead and hit her. Now she's getting a little on cards, so I have to keep that in mind. I'm going to switch to the Tactical Shotgun. This does 4 damage to 1 target. It is one of the best damage dealing powers in the game. And then he tries to deal some damage, and he can't. And then he tries to deal some damage, and he can't. So you notice that Mr. Fixer is just kind of kicking Plague Rat's ass here. I'm going to play Driving Mantis, because that is a better style than Riveting Crane. And when the styles enter play, they destroy each other. When the tools enter play, they go back in your hand. You return any other tool cards and play to your hand. And we'll just go ahead and hit him again. Although... oh, sweet. Oh yeah, because the Riveting Crane actually went off, so damage dealt to him is currently irreducible. Planar Banishment. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yes. Could have used one of those cards, but we're close to winning. So I'm going to get rid of the Afflicted Frenzy, and the Afflicted Frenzy, and the Biomimetic Plasma Fight. And now everything's back to normal. She will deal herself 2 damage, draw 2 cards. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Star Shield necklace for some hit points. It's limited, I don't need to. Looking up. This is Setback's power card. It allows him to add 3 tokens to his pool and deal a target 3 melee damage. Almost killed Plague Rat. So close. And yet, the fight's not over. He's gonna get hit by this escaped lab rat. The fight's still not over. The only hit point that matters is the last one. See, he's coming back with a vengeance. Now I played Driving Mantis. The first time each turn Mr. Fixer would be dealt 2 or fewer damage, he can redirect that damage to a target. And we're going to redirect it to Plague Rat. And he dies by his own teeth. And we win. And he's been locked in cuffs and will be carted away. I would like to play one more game, but I don't think I have the time for it. I might... let's go ahead and do a game I'm going to lose real fast. So, in another timeline, Legacy, Paul Parsons, goes to fight Baron Blade, takes his daughter along. Let me show you her real quick. Legacy, that's his daughter, Felicia Parsons. He takes her along to fight Baron Blade, and Baron Blade kills her, and this breaks Legacy. And he says, I cannot let this stand. So he decides to essentially take over the world. You've probably seen a similar, if you read comics, you've seen a similar plotline involving Superman. But he kills a bunch of villains and rules the world with an iron fist. He becomes Iron Legacy. He is the hardest villain in the game. I think I'm just going to go ahead and randomize. Alright, so we've got Omnitron X, who is a time-traveling robot from the future. He's actually the heroic version of a villain called Omnitron. We've got Ra, the god of the sun. He's a dude who does lots of fire damage. We've got Legacy. We've got a different version of Absolute Zero. So there's a thing in this game called variants. Absolute Zero currently has 3. He's got a total of 4. One hasn't been released in the game yet. You've got the regular Absolute Zero. You've got Freedom 6 Absolute Zero, which is the Absolute Zero from the Iron Legacy timeline. And then you've got Termination Absolute Zero, who is very difficult to play. You'll notice that he increases the damage that he does, that he deals and takes by 2. It's like Mr. Fixer's Bloody Knuckles card. He's hard to play. He's going to die. And the Inhuman Tempest, who is the weather controller. He's a very good character, and my headphones are running out of power, so I'm going to set Legacy to his advanced rules. Actually, no, I'm going to set him to his ultimate rules. There's 4 rule sets: regular, advanced, challenge, and then ultimate, which combines advanced and challenge. So I'm going to die really, really fast here, and you can get to see what a failed game looks like. So he comes out and he's just like, oh. And we're in the realm of Discord, which is a wacky, wacky place that runs by its own rules. So he gets to start off with 5 ongoing cards. The first one is going to deal us all some damage. Deals extra to Absolute Zero because he's one of his nemesis. Galvanized increases his damage. That one increases his damage. That one increases his damage. That one keeps us from doing more than 5 damage to him at one go. Iron Fist Strike. Look at all that damage. So now he hits everybody for, 6. I have not yet actually beaten Iron Legacy on challenge mode. Oh yeah, and Tempest is one of his nemesis too. Oh jeez. At the end of the villain turn, each hero target deals themselves 1 psychic damage. So everybody takes a little more damage, and everybody takes a little more damage, and yeah, this didn't go so well. Wow, that's a really bad opening hand. So we'll reset, shuffle his trash into his deck, draw a card. Ooh, you can play a card. I'm gonna play Slip Through Time. Nothing will matter. Reveal the top card of a deck, put it into play or into the trash. We'll reveal the top card of Absolute Zero's deck. Oh, something useful. I'm surprised. He's got one in his hands. We'll play that and put that into play. So he might actually be able to do something. Oh yeah, and Final Evolution is letting Iron Legacy heal every time we use a power. So I get to play a card. And play a card off of that. I get to use an extra power, but each hero power can only be used once a turn, and I've already used that. Now, I would love to play this Fire Blast, deal a target 5 fire damage, except that the Superhuman Redirection says that if he's dealt 5 or more damage in 1 turn, it gets redirected to one of us. So I've really got nothing to play. I'll play that. I'll use his power. And you know how I said Termination Absolute Zero is a variant? This is a variant of Ra. It's the one that doesn't deal as much damage. We're gonna not play that, I think. So he just drew a bunch of cards. Legacy, hey hey. And it's worth noting that despite the fact that they're the same person, the 2 legacies are not nemesis. So I punched him in the face. I'll make everybody deal more damage. And bad legacy healed. Alright, Absolute Zero is going to take more damage this round. That's a great idea. There's no way that can go horribly wrong. And legacy healed back to full. Whatever whatever I throw into the stratosphere is just gonna get played again. Wow, that's a lot of damage though. Well, hey, some of that damage actually stuck. Time flies. Oh dear. So he gets to play an extra card at the start of his turn. We get to play and draw extra cards on our turns. Oh wow. Deals each non-villain target 4 melee damage. Each player must either discard 2 cards or destroy one of their cards. Ouch. This is gonna kill Absolute Zero, I think. Oh wow. Oh jeez. He will destroy that card. Destroy a card. He has to discard 2, so we'll drop that and that. It doesn't really matter. He's gonna die. He'll just destroy a card. And he has to discard 2. I'll drop that and that. So, now when a hero's taken down, they flip. They are incapacitated, not taken out for the count. Ooh. See, that Galvanize is working against me. So now all we've got left is Raw. All that's left is Raw. Oh my gosh. Reduce damage dealt to that target by 1, draw a card, play a card. Let's reduce damage dealt to Raw. So Omnitron X here has flipped, and on his turn, instead of drawing a card, playing a card, and using a power, he gets to use one of these 3 in-cap powers. So his player is still in the game. It's very nice. It's one of the things I like most about this game. We'll go ahead and summon a Staff of Ra. Ouch. And summon a Staff of Ra. And... do I still have the Galvanize up? Yeah, okay, the Galvanize is still up. I cannot play the Staff of Ra. I'm going to play the Blazing Tornado. Oh wow, I get to play an extra card. Let's play Inferno. Dealing 4 damage. Blazing Tornado. Dealing 4 damage. He's gonna flip. I'm shocked. Well, okay. Healed some of that off. Alright. Well, the Galvanize wears off. So if I use a power, I'm going to deal him a net 1 damage, because the power does 3. Reduce damage dealt by environment cards, draw a card. I might as well just use power and deal that 1 damage. I wish somebody had the ability to destroy ongoing cards. There we go! Destroy an ongoing card. We're going to get rid of Final Evolution, so he stops healing. And then, Tempest has the best in-cap power ever. Select a damage type. Until the start of your next turn, heroes are immune to damage of that type. Melee. Now he does do projectile damage, and if he does, Ra is going to die, especially with imbued frailty increasing all damage. But, oh shit, I forgot about that. Oh, his advanced power lets him pull ongoings out of his trash. Now we get to hear his awesome victory theme. But that is Sentinels of the Multiverse. Thank you for joining me. If you have, thank you for watching this. If you have watched this, I do still need feedback. I put the the survey URL in the description, hopefully. Please fill that out. I would like to know if you want more content like this or like other games. So far I've only gotten 2 responses, and they're both conflicting, so that's not helpful. Like I said, if I get an overwhelming negative response, I won't do any more of this. If I don't get an overwhelming negative response, I'll probably do other Sentinels games, just not on the digital game. But I'm running out of power now, so that's going to be it. Thank you for watching this, and have a good day. How do I